Welcome to another Churchill Cigars production. I'll be covering a few matters of first aid in this video. When smoking a cigar, and the more you get into it, a few things can go wrong, but it's not necessarily a dead end when these things do go wrong. Probably your most common thing that might go wrong could be a little bit of tearing in your cigar. If you find that you've cut it and there's a little bit of tearing, rather than just pulling the thread, just lick your thumb and go over it. Generally speaking, that's enough to keep it back together again, to stick it together again. If you find the tear is a little bit bigger than that and that's not quite covering it, and you happen to have in your possession some jam sugar, little bit of warm water, melt a little bit of jam sugar. If you don't have jam sugar, maybe a little bit of orange juice, freshly squeezed, just to create a little bit of a glue. Go over the torn bit, and that should then stick the cigar back together again, and you should be right to go ahead and smoke it. The other thing that can go wrong, and I know I've experienced it a few times in my initial, I suppose, years of coming up the cigar smoking ladder, was dry cigars. So there's a little bit of a process, and it can take some time to revive a cigar. So I'm going to bring in some props here to show you. What you want to do is grab either two snap lock bags. If you don't have the snap lock bags, you know, the sandwich bag, 2 plastic bags will do. In one of the plastic bags, what you want to do is, in the upper half of the bag, poke some holes through it. Okay. Take your cigar, place it in. From there, you should have a second bag. In that second bag, have a bit of sponge that's been well soaked in some demineralised water, about 1 inch by 1 inch. I've cut it in half. You can cut it in half or have one whole piece. You put that in the second bag. You take the bag with the cigar, place it into the bag with the sponge, get all the excess air out. If it's not a snap lock bag, grab a rubber band, keep it nice and tight. Now, place it into your humidor. Generally speaking, once you've got it in your humidor, every 5 days or so you want to go in there and rotate the cigar. You want to do this until you've rotated the cigar one whole time twice, so 2 revolutions. This may take anywhere from sort of a month to a month and a half, because 5 days is more of a minimum. Some people like to do it every 2 weeks, they'll rotate it, so it really takes them 2 to 3 months, and really that's how long you want to be going for if you're going to revive your cigar. Once you've done that, you can then place it into your humidor and let it rest there for another 3 months or so. Some people will not touch that cigar for 12 whole months, but you want to aim for 3 to 6 months to let the cigar revive, especially if it's been dry for a very long time. Okay, now the next thing that might go wrong is you might one day suddenly decide to grab a cigar, sit down with your mates and have a bit of a puff. You go to cut your cigar and you notice something crawling around in your cigar. This is a cigar beetle. Don't panic. Generally speaking, in most cigars there'll be some cigar beetle eggs just incubated. And if you don't actually have the right humidity and temperature in your humidor, that's what will hatch them. So what do we do to get rid of them if we end up having them? What you want to do is take that cigar, whack it in the fridge for about a day or 2, let it freeze. Once it's been there for a day or 2, take it out and then apply the same practice as you would for a dry cigar. Unfortunately, again, it's going to be a long process. You need to bear with it, but if it's one of your favourite cigars, and especially if you paid a little bit of cash for it, you'll go through the process. But the cigar is savable. The next thing that sometimes people think is going wrong, but actually isn't, is you might get little white spots or white powder on your cigar. This is actually a great thing. This means, this is called bloom. Bloom and plume is the official term for it, I think, don't quote me on it, but it's white powder. It's actually a sign of a cigar that's been kept well. Simply wipe the excess off, blow the rest of it off, just clean it with your hands nice and gently, or with a nice cloth. Smooth cloth, nothing that's too fibrous or rough. Just gently wipe it off and go ahead and smoke your cigar. Now, the other thing that could go wrong, and unfortunately there's no way of saving the cigar, is if you start seeing blue spots. This, I'm afraid, is a form of fungus, like an algae. Once your cigar starts getting blue spots, that's it. Throw it out. That's really all there is to it, unfortunately. But it doesn't happen often, and if you look after your cigars, you shouldn't have this problem. Now, Winston Churchill, very famous cigar smoker. True or false, he had a favourite ashtray that he took with him everywhere. Wouldn't ash into any other ashtray. Is this true or is it false? To find out the answer to this question, just log on to www.churchillcigars.com.au where you'll find the answer to that question. Lots of other trivia, videos and great deals.